Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're well. I just want to take a minute and say I have loved my phone call and FaceTime conversations I've had with those of you that have signed up. If you haven't signed up for a phone call or a FaceTime, get mom and dad. I've attached a Google Doc that you can sign up, and I will call you, and it'll just be you and I having a great conversation. And so I hope to get a chance to meet and talk with all of you. So take a look at that. If you have trouble signing up, just have mom or dad email me or text me, and I will help you sign up. So please make sure you do that. I have loved the conversations. So we know that this week is Earth Week, and yesterday I read a story called River Ran Wild, and we talked about how humans affect the earth and how our landscape and how our environment can change because of that. And so today I'm going to share a book that's called Oil Spill. And this story is nonfiction, and this is something that actually happened in our world. And there have been things that were affected because something happened. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today is cause and effect. Something happens, and then there's an effect or something else that happens because of that. An easy way that I like to think about things is if you make a bad choice, the effect is you might get a consequence at home. And the opposite is true. If you do something kind for somebody, the effect might be that you feel great inside and you make somebody else feel good too. And so I want you to be thinking about what are things that happened, the oil spill, and what was the effect or what things happened after the oil spill. And so be thinking about that. That's your purpose for reading today. So be thinking about that as I read. So are you ready? Are you in a comfy spot? Okay, good. Get there. And we haven't done this in a few days, so close your eyes. Think about Spring Trail. Do you remember what it looked like in your second grade classroom? I know you know what it's like to be at the meeting place, so close your eyes. Think about who's sitting behind you. Think about who's sitting in front of you. Put a big smile on your face. There you go. Okay. Settled. The night of March 24th, 1989 was dark and cold. A huge black oil tanker glided out of the port of the Valdez, Alaska. Painted on the bow of its name was the Exxon Valdez. The Exxon Valdez floated low in the water. About 50 million gallons of crude oil weighted it down. Now, crude oil is used and is turned into gasoline, and it's what we put in our cars. And so this is a really big deal. And there were 50 million gallons. Think about how much that was. The huge tanker slowly sailed out into Prince William Sound, and then suddenly it happened. Crunch! The ship slammed into an underwater reef. The thick black oil flowed out of the Exxon Valdez's smashed tanks, and it poured into the dark water. So the ship hit a reef, and it put a hole in it. And once the hole got in, oil started leaking into the ocean. And there is a really good picture of showing you one of the effects. The Exxon Valdez spilled 11 million gallons of oil. That much oil could fill over 1,000 big swimming pools. The sticky oil covered 11,000 square miles of ocean. That is an area as big as the state of Maryland. It damaged 1,250 miles of Alaska's coastline. That's longer than the entire Atlantic coast of the United States. Now, the Atlantic coast is on the east coast of the United States. The oil stuck to the feathers of many of the ducks, geese, and other seabirds. The birds couldn't swim or fly. Over 300,000 died. Oil got into their bodies, shrimp and crabs. No one knows how many of them were killed. So again, think of the cause. So there was an oil spill, and this would be some of the effects. Okay, so think about that. Something happens, and there are consequences, or there's effects of that. Sea otters, sea lions, harbor seals, and killer whales swallowed oil. They breathed in poisonous fumes. Their bodies were coated with oil. Thousands of these marine animals died. The spill from the Exxon Valdez was one of the worst in our country's history, but it was not the only one. An oil spill occurs somewhere in the world almost every day of the year. Now I want you to think about that. And think about, again, how many days of the year are there? 365. So that means there's at least 300, if there's one oil spill every day, there's 365 oil spills a year. Oil spills have many causes. Some are accidents. A tanker like the Exxon Valdez runs aground or collides with another ship. Workers make a mistake as the tanker is being loaded or unloaded. An undersea oil well starts to leak. A tanker pipe breaks at the shore terminal. Some oil spills occur on purpose. Can you believe that? The tanker captain tells the workers to clean out the tanks. Sometimes they flush old oil into the sea. And so I like the way they said this here. There are many causes. So when it runs into something, sometimes a worker can make a mistake. We all know we make mistakes. And there could be a leak or something breaks. So those are the causes for the spill. The causes of oil spills differ, but the result is the same. The oil spreads out, it floats to the top of the water. Experts on oil spills rush to the scene and they start to clean up the mess. Their first job is to stop the oil from spreading. They put a boom around the spill. The boom is like a collar and it keeps the oil in one place because they don't want the oil to spread. They want to keep it contained in one space so that they're able to clean it out. And so they kind of put a collar, like this is the collar around my shirt, and so my neck might be the oil and it would be keeping this inside, is a way to think about it. For small spills, the experts may call for a skimmer. There are several kinds of skimmers. One type works like a giant vacuum cleaner and it sucks up the oil from the water. Sometimes the oil skimmer can be used again. And this is a diagram of what that looks like, the oil skimmer. For some oil spills, experts place special pads on top of the oil. The pads are kind of like sponges and they soak up the oil and they have to get rid of the soaked up oil. So this is a pad that they lay on top of the oil and it soaks up the oil straight from the ocean. That's kind of neat. Kind of reminds me of a sponge or like a piece of paper towel that you set down in some water on the countertop and how it kind of soaks up and absorbs. For larger spills, the experts may set the oil on fire, but the fire sends smoke and gas into the air and leaves ashes in the water. So that would be another effect of the oil spill. If they have to set it on fire, there would be other things that happen. Cleanup crews also use chemicals to get rid of large oil spills. People aboard planes or boats spread the chemicals on the oil. Some of the chemicals break the oil into tiny bits, and the tiny bits mix with the water. Stop and think about, why is it so important for them to clean that oil up? Why couldn't they just leave it in the ocean? We know that the ocean is vast and it's deep. Do you think, why do they have to clean it up? Other chemicals make the oil come together. The oil forms a layer like a sheet of rubber. One type of skimmer lifts the sheet of oil and oily debris out of the water. Chemicals make the oil less harmful, but they add poisons to the water. And do you think adding poisons to the water would be good for the animals that live in the water? Think about that. In time, the oil from most spills drifts up onto the shore. Scientists spray the rocks and sand with hot water to wash the oil back into the sea. But the hot spray may also push the oil farther onto the rocks and sand. Here, the oil can harm plants and animals that live on the shore. Scientists sometimes add bacteria to the oil along the shore. The bacteria eat the oil and change it into harmless substances. It would take a huge amount of bacteria to get rid of that big oil spill. Sometimes the experts decide that no action is best way to treat that oil spill. The wind and the waves mix the oil and the water together. It's like mixing oil and vinegar to make salad dressing. In time, much of the oil will disappear. Do you have a salad dressing like that at home, where if you take it out of the fridge, you'll notice that it looks like there's even two types of dressing in there, but if you shake it all up real hard, it all forms together. Well, the ocean can do that well. If there's not a dangerous amount, they'll leave the oil and it'll get mixed up and churned up in the ocean. Oil spills are major disasters. Slowly, scientists are learning how to clean them up. They are learning how to prevent spills. How can we help to prevent those oil spills too? Do you think there's a way that you can help prevent that? Okay. Think about some spills at home. How can you prevent those? Because I know we've all spilled something at home before. Boys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed oil spills. There is on your Google slide for reading. If you notice, there's 3 sections. First one is my book. Hope you enjoyed it. The middle section is talking to you a little bit about a cause and effect, and that we call an anchor chart. And you remember back at school, Mrs. Boffman used to make anchor charts all the time. And then the third part of that screen is your job. And today you're going to do your work in your own notebook. You did a great job yesterday submitting an extra Google assignment. And so today you're going to use your notebook. So get out your pencil and paper. And then make sure, boys and girls, you're thinking about what was the cause and what was the effect. Okay? And make sure you're writing in complete sentences. Remember, the quality of your work is important. I will take a look someday at all the stuff you've written down in those notebooks, and I can't wait. Remember, if you haven't signed up for a phone call or a FaceTime, go back and find that Google Doc and sign up for that. Otherwise, have a great day. Get out and enjoy the sun. Miss you all. Love you all very much. Have a good day.